This is the Feast of Trumpets. Sound the shofar in Zion, and let the people remember that we're entering into the most sacred part of our year. To the Most High El, the Elohim of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, we give you praise and we give you thanks. For you have brought us once again to this day, and we're thankful that we're able to gather and assemble as you have instructed us. Let this day be filled with your presence. Let this day be honored by us to you as we worship you and we praise your opulent name. Let the worship be acceptable in your ears. Let the teaching also resonate with you as we offer you our acceptable sacrifice. Amen.
take a precious people. I'm not afraid. I have no fear. It's all
Today is a wonderful day. Glad to see all of those of you that are here for honoring this mitzvot, the Feast of Trumpets. Our teacher is going to come and continue to share with us some information before we transition to the feast. And how's everybody doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you feel? Shabbat Shalom! Shabbat Shalom! One more time. Shabbat Shalom! Our opulent teacher, Sean Appleton.
A bit to the L of my ancestors, the L of an ancestor that we let go today. Eye Asher Eye, Yahweh, Yahweh, you know it. I'm pretty sure you all are too familiar with it. To that power, I give all thanks and praise. He is the beneficent. He is ostentatious. He is gravitas. He is magnanimous. He is gargantuan. He's omniscient. He's all the things that you need. Nothing else. There's nothing that you need other than the Most High. And I'm seeing the bobblehead, so I know I'm on good ground.
Oh, yeah.
So, to that effect, I thank the Most High for this beautiful and wondrous day. To Rabbi, the Honorable Robert B. Holman Jr., and to our Minister of Worship. And that may come out a little bit later on, that word worship. Kevin R. Holman, I say Shabbat Shalom to you, gentlemen. Thank you for allowing me to share this stage with you today to talk to our Pan-Ibir. You know what I mean by Pan-Ibir, right? Pan-Ibir means, if I said Pan-Africanism, what would you think? Africans all over the world. Pan-Ibir are Ibir all over the world. So, to you, Pan-Ibir all over the world, Shabbat Shalom. To those of you that are viewing by way of the stream, whoever may be in your car, you may be listening to this on YouTube, whatever social media that you're on today, Shabbat Shalom. I want to continue to encourage you to go into the comment section and ask questions as you have been before in the past. We do not shy away from questions. We will give you a straight and honest answer. Because it says, come let us what? Reason together. Let's get an understanding about something. And if we're wrong about something, let's make the necessary adjustments so we get back on track with the Most High. That's what it's about. Okay? It's not about any personal agenda other than the Most High's agenda. So to all of you, I'm saying Shabbat Shalom. To all you evildoers, for all you individuals out there that are what we call fools. Everybody knows what a fool is. Let me define for you what a fool is. That's an individual that knows what to do, which is right, and decides premeditatedly to do the exact opposite. That is what you call foolish. So to all of you, hopefully you'll receive something today that will get you to turn back to the Most High. I'm going to share something with you that I'm kind of still been on this Devarim kick, and I'm going to get to the question of the day, which is going to be an issue about what today actually is. We're going to talk about that for just a quick second. So, I want to actually kick something around with you guys. Because last week we've been talking about this. Matter of fact, if you were with us earlier today, pop quiz. The Honorable Robert B. Holman Jr. said a prolific text that we keep referring to. It's in Devarim. Everybody know what chapter it is? Devarim chapter 28. And in Devarim chapter number 28, it talks about what? The gifts and the curses.
Yeah.
All the things that will beset Hebrew Israel if we do not follow the commands of the Most High. Right? Okay. So let's expand that idea. Because I want some audience participation on this particular issue I'm kicking around. It got me thinking about the black church and its purpose. What's the purpose of the black church? Come on, I heard something back here. What'd you say? Take your money? What? Huh? To entertain. Okay? So the purpose of the black church is to entertain you, huh?
Make you feel good.
Make you feel good. We in our emotions. Fashion show. What else is about the black church? Wait a minute. Have y'all been to church before, right? Okay. And y'all telling me that the purpose is to entertain me, stroke my emotional ego, to make me have an emotional orgasm and take my money?
Basically.
What else? It's got to be. What else? Brainwashing, judging, confusion, socializing. Now we're going to start with that word socializing.
Feel important. To feel a part of a
To
group.
feel important.
Yeah.
So that's what your purpose of the black church is. I want to actually give you a different perspective that I've been kicking around. Now, I may be right and I may be wrong. You may come up to me and say, you know what, Ambassador, I was thinking about what you said earlier, and I don't know if I agree with you or not. So this is getting on my own. This is called eisegesis. This is when you actually add something to, okay? When I'm interpreting something a certain way. I'm looking at Devarim 28, and I'm looking at the black church, and I'm looking at the role of what the black church is. When we talk about Devarim 28, we talk about the curses, but we don't take care of the psychological issues that come with those curses. I am exiled in a country, in a foreign land that's not my own, being oppressed by a certain group of people, and that creates a psychological stress that is upon our people. Could one say that part of the reason the black church is in existence because it's your way to cope with the stress that has come out of this exile from this curse? Only time that you even heard of Martin Luther King was when he was what? Civil rights movement, which was what? Trying to do what? Better the situation for us here in exile. It is a way to cope psychologically with the stress of being exiled from the land. So I don't necessarily now look at those individuals like we may seem like you're ridiculing the black church all the time when you get up and speak. Now I'm kind of changing my perspective a little bit. Because it's a way when you listen to a preacher on your 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 11 o'clock service, what they're going to do every single time? They're going to go and pick out a text, and they're going to do what for the next 45 minutes? They're going to pontificate about how your life can be better.
Right.
How God is going to pay your PG&E bill if you just do X. You're going to find your man next week if you do X. Your wife is right around the corner if you do X. Matter of fact, let's go over here. For he that findeth, oh, come on. To what? To hear the mitzvot of the Most High. To remember. Right? Who we are, what we're about. And also to herald in the next mitzvot, which is what? Yom Kippur. Wake up. Be aware. Start looking inwardly on what's happening, because we got the Day of Atonement getting ready to come up, and you need to be able to purge yourself from that. So we sound and blast the shofar as an announcement. Right? We did that earlier today. Let's read it from the perspective of the Most High. It says, Yahweh said to Moshe, tell the people of Israel in the what month? Seventh month. The first of the month is to be for you a day of complete rest for what? Remembering a holy convocation. That means you are to assemble. So, have we fulfilled this so far?
Yes.
Okay. A holy convocation. Now, this gets a little bit deeper. There's parts of this that we can't fulfill, and we're going to go there next, okay? A holy convocation announced with blasts on the shofar. Did we do that? Did we check the box there?
Yes.
Absolutely. We are in complete compliance with what this says. Do not do any kind of ordinary work, and bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh Eye Asher Eye. What that literally means is that if you go to Leviticus or Vayikra chapter 4, there is an offering that is there that you are to bring. Now, we can't do that portion of it because why? We're not in the land. We don't have the temple. We don't have our vessels. We can't fulfill that particular portion of it. But everything else we can do. All right? Let's go somewhere else. Let's go to, I think it's in Shemot. Where's the other place that this shows up in? Let's go to, I think it's in Numbers. Yeah. It's in Bad Midbar. Somebody find that for me in Bad Midbar. I should have had it right. I think I want to say it's Bad Midbar 29. Let's try that.
Yeah, 29.
29. Bad Mid chapter 29, verse 1. Now I want to read this very slowly for you. Be aware. What are Hebrew Israel? We are strategic. We are aware. Be mindful of what you're reading. We're going to go slow. In the 7th month, on the first day of the month, you are to have a holy convocation. Do not do any kind of ordinary work. It's a day of blowing the shofar for you. Prepare a burnt offering to make a fragrant aroma for Yahweh. 1 young bull. You start reading Vayikra chapter 4, these ones will start coming up. All right? We're offering this for inadvertent sin that we did not know about during the course of the year thus far. And the Most High, we're asking the Most High to forgive us from that. It's inadvertent sin because there is no sacrifice for premeditated sin. All right? Prepare a burnt offering to make a fragrant aroma for Yahweh, 1 young bull, 1 ram, and 7 male lambs in their first year without a defect. It says, with their grain offerings consisting of fine flour mixed with olive oil, 6 quarts for the bull, 4 quarts for the ram, verse 4, and 2 quarts for each of the 7 lambs. Also 1 male goat as a sin offering to make atonement for you. This is to be in an addition. Let's stop there before we go any further, because I want to draw your attention to something. Today is Yom Teruah, right? Do you all realize what happened that went over there to Morgan Jones earlier today? Do you realize what happened today? What did I just say? The sound of the shofar is to draw to the attention of Hebrew Israel together. Do you think it is by coincidence that we had a homegoing service in front of a bunch of people where we sounded the shofar to a bunch of Ibir, calling their attention, and the message was turn back to the Most High? Do you think it's by coincidence that the Most High capitalized on not only talking to us today by getting a double portion now, but earlier today, he was able to minister to a bunch of people that did not know anything about it?
Not a thing.
You see how the Most High is orchestrating these things. Just so you have a connection about what's going on. There's a purpose for those individuals that were there today to hear what they heard come out of the mouth of the Honorable Robert B. Holman Jr. today.
That's right.
And that is because it's Yom Teruah. We sounded the shofar. They were supposed to call, wake up, and hear the call of whom? And nothing but Yahweh was in that whole entire service, from top to bottom. If you were figuring you were going to come in there and hear something about some Jesus, you wasn't going to hear it today. It was all about the Most High.
Oh, you're right.
So even in our going and giving Miss B her just due, even in her passing and letting her go, the Most High still got victory over folks that thought they were going to have something else coming in there.
Church.
So, what they said, church, tabernacle. So, with that, I want to go ahead and go to verse 6 because I'm going to get happy. If nobody else in here today is going to get happy, I'm going to get happy at verse 6. So I'm going to just tell you this right now because when I read this, I had to get out at my desk in my office. I had to stop, lean back at my desk for at least from my desk for about 10 minutes to see the confirmation of what the Most High has birthed into this house. Is in verse 6.
Get us there.
This is to be what? Wait a minute. Let's go all the way back up. What are we talking about? We're doing Yom Teruah, and he's giving us all the things that we're supposed to do. He's designated what day it's supposed to be on, right? And what we're supposed to do. Look in verse 6 what he says here. This is to be in addition to the burnt offering for Rosh Chodesh, with its grain offering, the regular burnt offering with its grain offering, and drink offerings according to the rule for them. This will be a fragrant aroma and offering made by fire to Eye Asher Eye. Let me go all the way back to the beginning of 6. It says, this is to be in addition to the burnt offering for Rosh Chodesh. What is the Most High saying? He's saying that on Yom Teruah, it's going to be a Rosh Chodesh too. Let's go to the calendar. Today is Yom Teruah. Today is Rosh Chodesh. What is Rosh Chodesh? The word for Chodesh in the Hebrew language is month. It is not moon. The name for moon is Yereka. Or Yerecha, excuse me. So, it says, in addition to Yom Teruah, it is going to be a Rosh Chodesh. It is a Rosh Chodesh because it's the first day of the month. And it's a Shabbat. And it's Yom Teruah. You are getting 3 things on one day. And the Most High, in this text, just confirmed it for you. When you read it before, it didn't mean anything to you. But now what you got to see is that, children, what I'm telling you is your confirmation to know that your calendar is even right, is that the Yom Rosh Chodesh is going to be the same day that Yom Teruah is going to be on. Okay? So we got to back check within the text, even within the mitzvot. The mitzvot attests to the calendar. Now, let's go on for the calendar for a little bit. I just want to make a public service announcement about our calendar. All right. I want to make everybody aware before I move forward that we do have Yom Kippur coming up. It will be on the 25th of this Gregorian month of September. That is Yom Kippur. It will start on the evening of the 9th. One of the prerequisites for Yom Kippur is what? It starts with an F. Fasting. So, make sure you start to fast. Start to get it in your repertoire because it is a 24-hour fast. And you need to be, listen, you would never, how many of y'all in here are athletes?
Oh, you
ran track, tennis, bowling.
Yeah,
past tense, even if it was past tense. You have been an athlete. Do you just show up at the meet or show up at the game and just start playing? No, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
You got to practice. So when it says fast, that just doesn't mean start on that day because you probably won't make it. Now again, if you need to take medication or other things, that are germane to your vitals, please do so. But those of you that can, please do. It is a high holy day. It is a set apart day. It is a day of rest, so that means you don't work. I'm stepping on toes. You need to talk to your employer. Let me tell you something. The Muslims don't got no problem going into that office saying, I'm taking off for Ramadan, and this is what it is.
Come on.
So why do you feel apprehensive that you can't walk into your supervisor's office and say, I have to take off for Yom Kippur because this has been called by the Most High? Or maybe your best kept secret is the Most High.
And do it far.
You can tell everybody else about what is going on in your life. What your kids are doing, what your grandkids are doing. This person's love life, that person's love life. But when it comes time to talk about the Most High, you become real quiet. It's like your best kept secret that you don't ever want to tell nobody. I'm yelling because it's Yom Kippur, it's Yom Teruah, and we're supposed to be festive. We had what? Listen, we sent one of our own off today. Ibir style.
Yes.
Not Christian style.
Yes.
And it's commanded of us to be festive.
Yes.
All right. Let's get your energy up or something. My goodness, come on. And then right after that, we got Sukkot. Sukkot is going to be an 8-day festival. Look how convenient that is. The Most High starts it on a Shabbat, and he will end it on a Shabbat. Okay? I'm bringing this up so you guys can understand that this is a tool. Please use it. You have no excuse now to say that you didn't know. And I'm going to make it even harder for you. Shameless plug. Wink, wink. Shameless plug. Wink, wink. The Hebrew calendar website is fully functional.
Oh, wow.
Now.
Okay.
So, if you go to www.hebraicalendar.com, you can go to the site. You can understand what the Hebrew calendar is about.
Look at you.
You can buy one. It even has a section for you there. So if someone has questions and you don't know how to answer it, we have a section about the calendar where it has all the bullet points. If somebody wants to know when does the Hebrew year begin and start, just open it up and read it right to you. All of that information is there. We're about data and making sure that whatever we do coincides scientifically and also matches up to what's written in the Masoretic text. If you're going to come at us, you better come at us with some data that proves otherwise, because I do not care about your feelings or what you think. Okay? All right.
Good job, man.
Moving and grooving. Let's get back in there. That's what we're doing. We want to make sure that you have the tools that are available for you so you can disseminate properly, have the confidence that you need to stand tall when you're being opposed by individuals whom think, like I said last week, how in the world is you going to stand before me as a melanated person or even in a beard and say, oh, you want to be a Jew? Excuse me, you don't know who you are. You are a Kabir, so you want to be a Christian? That's what you should be throwing back at them. How is that possible? You're an Ibir. You want to be something that you're not. But you want to ridicule me for being a Jew. This is hypocrisy. All right, let's get into this. And I'm going to ask the esteemed Honorable Robert B. Holman Jr. to pull my coattail today, because I cannot see where that timer is. But he's going to probably not say anything and let me do the whole entire thing. So y'all might be up with me for 3 hours today. So if y'all get, I see this lack of mask, y'all need to go look back, look over in the corner. All right, let's finish up. I'm just going to breeze over it real quick. I'm not going to go in depth too much. I'll hit the highlights. Matter of fact, let me do this. Last week I talked about how Hebrew Israel and the Native Americans were synonymous. Anybody can remember something from that teaching that you got from that said, okay, yeah, I took away that.
Right.
What did you learn? What did you learn? Yes, ma'am.
How they separate the women.
How they separate the women. That's good. Anybody else?
They break and slip up in tribes.
They're broken up into tribes. That they do know the name of Yahweh. Right? What else? That's good. That's good. Because there's a book, again, I I'm taking a lot of my dissertation from the book from James Adair, The History of the American Indians. And in there, he makes a lot of these cases. Let me just continue to move forward, and let's get through this. Hopefully you find something intriguing about this. All right. Next bullet point. They're cities of refuge. The native Ibir also have cities of refuge. Okay? Just like the Ibir do. So I'm going to go through these bullet points real quick. It's not going to take too long. But just know that. They have cities of refuge just like we do. What are some of the issues with cities of refuge for us? That means that who lives in the cities of refuge? Actually, the Levitical line control it. And usually it's for people that the next of kin avenger can't get to. If you committed manslaughter or something, you could go to the city of refuge. And you had to stay there how long? This is an extra credit question. See, you know what? I'm not asking Trey. I'm not asking you. I'm not asking. What? The question is this. If you get caught in manslaughter in Hebrew Israel, you get caught and you run to the city of refuge for safety, how long do you have to stay there before you get released? Till the Kohanim dies, till the head Gadol, Kohanim Gadol dies. So you might be in luck. One year, if the Kohanim Gadol is already 119, you can say, well, I'm getting out next year because nobody's going to live past 120. But if you got a young Kohanim Gadol like me, I'm 46 years old, you might be in there for a very long time. You might be in there for a very, very long time. So, cities of refuge. Our native Ibir have the same thing. They're purification and ceremonies and preparatory for war. It says before the Indians go to war, our native Ibir, I'm going to start using that. Yes. They have many preparatory ceremonies of purification and fasting, like what is recorded in Israel. Now, I would implore you to go back and read Devarim chapter number 20, where we have what we have to do in order to get ready for war. It mimics the same thing. And again, continue to read this book for more exposition on that. The next one is, oh man, if I wish I had Slick Rick. Who knows who Slick Rick is? Slick Rick the ruler. Once upon a time not long ago, that's Slick Rick, the rapper Slick Rick. See, wait a minute. Y'all all ain't been a Hebrew all your life. So you know who Slick Rick is. All right? One of the things that you notice about Slick Rick is he had these big dookie chains on. When I say dookie rope chains, I mean the big gold ropes.
They were huge.
I mean, Mr. T, he had all them chains and whatnot and ropes around them. One of the things that's systemic to Hebrew people is that we like to wear a lot of accessories. We like to wear a lot of gold. Yeah. And our native Ibir brothers and sisters do the same thing too. Listen to this. The Indian origin and descent may also be, and I'm reading verbatim from the book, descent may also be in some measure discerned by their taste for and kind of ornaments. The Israels were fond of wearing beads and ornaments, and even as early as the patriarchal age, and the taste increased to such a degree that it became criminal, and was sharply reprimanded by the prophets, particularly Isaiah. So our prophet Isaiah, our ancestor, reprimanded us because it became such a big thing because to wear all this jewelry and gold. You're looking at me like I'm crazy. So let's go to YAHWEH chapter number 3, verse 17 through 23. I'm going to read it to you. Yahweh will strike down the crown of the heads of Sion's women with swords, and Yahweh will expose their private parts. On that day, Yahweh will take away the finery of their ankles, their medallions, their crescents, their pendants, their bracelets, and their veils, and their headbands, their amulets, their sashes, perfume bottles, amulet rings, nose jewelry, their fine dresses, wrap shawls, handbags, gauze and scarves, linen underclothes, turbans, and capes. Does that sound like y'all? Yeah. That sound like some of y'all wear?
Yeah.
Here's another point of fact in text of being Ibir that says, this people are you. And the prophet is reprimanding them because they're wearing all this stuff. And then you find other cultures in the world that do the same exact thing. The native Iberian, the native Indians. Next point. The manner of curing the sick. The Indian manner of curing the sick is similar to the Hebrews. They always invoke Yahweh a considerable space of time before they apply any medicines. Let the case require ever so speedily in application, the more desperately ill their patients are, the more earnestly they invoke the deity on the sad occasion. Like Hebrews, they firmly believe that diseases and wounds are occasioned by holy fire or divine anger. What does that sound like? I'm chomping off at the mouth. I'm running my mouth about you. I'm slandering you. I'm slandering you. That is a case of what is getting ready to happen next. Sada'at. So in the same way that we believe that because of slander, Sada'at occurs, the same way they believe that some illnesses occur because of the Most High, of at least Yahweh inflicting something on someone because of something that they did. They also believe the same thing as well, is that when the cure for the Sada'at has to be done by whom? The high priest or the priests have to cure it. There's a whole entire liturgy for it. The American Indians have the same thing. Their priests are the only ones that can come in and cure something, according to them. And minister, go ahead and make sure people are squared away with their health. The burial of their dead. Now, this is a kind of a complex one, but just to pull some things out of here for the burial of their dead, they bury their dead in the same way. This is not to just be remedial and say the same way that the Hebrews do. When it says, I joined my fathers and I joined my ancestors, they do the same thing as well. They're mourning for the dead. Now, I want you to hear this one. This is a good one. So the Hebrew records tell us that they're women. How many women are in here? All right. Jeez. Y'all just like, oh, women. Yay. How many women are in here? Jeez. Christmas. It must suck being a woman in 2023, huh? How many women are in here? All right. Okay. Jeez. It sounds like old DeFred time. All right, all six of y'all that said something. The Jewish records tell us that their women mourned for the loss of their deceased husbands and were reckoned vile by civil law if they married in a space at least of 10 months after their death. Once the husband died, it was a 10-month waiting period before they would do anything else. Wow. In resemblance to that custom, all Indian widows, by established strict penal law, mourned the loss of their deceased husbands, and among some of the tribes for a space of 3 to 4 years. Where have you heard that before? Oh, wait a minute. See, stop talking. I told you I'm not taking no more from the peanut gallery. Let me read a passage that sounds just like that. So the Indians, or Native Iberian, mourn their deceased husbands for a span of anywhere from 3 to 4 years. I'm going to read a passage. I'm going to see if you can pick up who this is. Now that the time came, now I got to say her name. Yehudit heard therefore, which was the daughter of Merari, the son of Ox, the son of Joseph, the son of Ozel, the son of Elsia, the son of Ananias, the son of Gideon, the son of Raphaim, the son of Actio, the son of Elu, the son of Elel, the son of Nathaniel, the son of Samuel, the son of Samadal, the son of Israel. And Manasseh was her husband, of her tribe and kindred, who died in the barley field harvest. As for he stood overseeing them that bound the sheaves in the field, the heat came upon his head, and he fell on his bed and died in the city of, where is Yehudi from? Bethulia. Right. And they buried him with his, see that? They buried him with his who? His fathers in the field of Doth Ethiopium and Balaam. So Yehudit was a widow in her house for 3 years and 4 months. In the Apocrypha books, in the extra writings, we can even see evidence of this, where our people mourn for a period of 3 years. And then we have this dissertation in 1775 where the same group of people are doing the same thing. They're mourning for a dispensation of time almost exactly the same. Okay? Only have 3 more to do. It says the surviving brother. Now this is one of the things that kind of gets people a little upset at me, but this is a mitzvah, and we don't dilute or water down the commandment. This is the raising the seed of the deceased brother. What is the mitzvah for if I have a wife, and I have a brother, I have a wife, and that's my current situation right now. Actually, I'm living this right now. Everybody knows my wife. Don't look at her. She's beautiful. Everybody knows it. And I have a brother. My brother is married. My brother and his wife don't have any children. If my brother dies, what happens to the wife?
Comes to the brother.
Comes to me. I have to take her on as a multiple wife. And it's almost a self-imposed thing. Not self-imposed, but it's almost a mitzvah-imposed thing, because if I decide not to and say I do not want her, then what happens? She can go complain to whom? The elders.
The elders.
And the elders will what? Summon me, and they will say, listen, did you literally tell this woman that you were not going to marry her? And if I come back and I say, yes, I told her I don't want her to be my wife, what do the elders do?
Give her a shoe.
And
Spit.
spit on me.
That's right.
You are not keeping with the mitzvah, and you want to get out of it, and you are not moving the tribe forward. You want to end it all. And she has what? What's another issue about that? You don't want her as a wife. Our people, our women were very dependent on the men. The men were the breadwinners. So, therefore, she has no livelihood. So she's kind of been cast aside. Now she's just kind of castaway widow. So you had every opportunity to give this woman a quality of life, and you decided to send her out on her own with nothing. Okay? So, these things have been instantiated so we can understand them in a way which is easy, right? So, guess who has the same thing that they do? The Native Americans. They do the same thing.
They need beer.
We need beer. Now, let's get down to these last two. I gotta ask this question. I gotta take a, can I take a little sidebar real quick? Can we
Sure.
real quick? I need real names. I need real people. Real people. What are some of the names that you've heard from people that you know of that they've named their children that have been completely outrageous? Let me go first. I know somebody that named their child Hennessy.
Oh, I do too.
I know somebody that named their child Monica.
Yep.
I know another girl that named their child Tommy Hilfiger.
Oh.
First name Tommy, middle name Hilfiger. What are some names that y'all heard?
Alizé.
Alizé?
Alizé.
You said Pride and Joy?
Orangelo.
Orangelo.
Orange Jello.
Orange
And
Lamont Jello. Lemon Jello. Okay. You ain't ever heard nobody named Organica? Organica. Nobody even heard of Organica? No. Okay. We have some of the weirdest way of naming our people. I have brought that just to be funny and add a little bit of humor to the situation, because the way that the Native Americans name their children is the same way that the Hebrews name their children. It's based on a circumstance. Something's happening. I name this child this, and they actually become that. That's what they walk in the path of, or there was something going on at that particular time. But we've gotten so far off that we just want to just name our children, crazy out of the blue things. But the Indians do the same thing too. All right? They have the same type of element. And just so you know, I was going to add this little piece in here about Yahushua. That's not really his real name. And neither is, matter of fact, Shlomo's name got changed too as well, which was David's son to Jedediah. And Yahushua, anybody, this is an extra credit question. Anybody know what Yahushua's real name was? Stop answering questions. We know you know the scripture, boy. Excuse me, man.
He know everything.
What I'm about to do is take this mic off and I'm about to give it to you to come up here because this young man behind this camera right here is very astute. He is very astute on text. And he is able to hold his own in any type of verbal jousting match that comes up about his Most High. That is something to be proud of. That you know that you're in a circle of people who know text. That can tell you, I don't know where you got that from, but let me steer you in the right direction. And not only am I going to do that, I'm going to give you several points in text that makes you understand that what I'm talking about. This just ain't some one thing that you can interpret it here because the fiber of the Most High runs through all of his text. He behaves the same way today, now, and forever. And when you got a young man that knows that kind of information like that, let me tell you something. That's what they're afraid of. That's what you need to be afraid of.
True that.
Somebody that understands truth and is not afraid to tell you so. And if I step on your toes, then so be it. But the purpose of us being here is to do just that. To rescue individuals and equip them with information that they can use so they can be successful. This is not about you coming in here getting a word for you. This is about us collectively coming together, trying to help a community of people get out of here. You don't belong here. You don't deserve the stress that you're under. But our people don't seem to get it. You want to continue to keep fighting for something that's going to get destroyed anyway.
Right.
And you know what? I'm going to end it there. So those are the kind of the talking points that I gleaned from this particular book here. And hopefully you get a chance to read that if you're more intrigued about it. But I wanted to go ahead and finish that to give you some more ammunition. So we can make the statement and say anytime that, hey, I've got Cherokee Indian in my heritage. And I do. That's a true statement. That I understand that they also are Ibir as well.
Ibir.
All right. Let's get into chapter number 18. All right. We'll see how far we can get with this. Because I know your bellies are growling right now because it's a festival and we have to eat. And I know there's some chefs in the house. I'm not even going to look on this side of the room. I know that there's some bona fide chefs in the house. So let me help you get there as quick as possible. Chapter number 18 of 1 Shemuel. And for your hearing and the reading ears. By the time David had finished speaking to Shaul, Yehohanan, let's give you some reference. Let's stop here for a second. Let's go back for a little bit. He just got done kicking whose butt? On the battlefield with a sling. He killed
Goliath.
Well, that ain't his name.
Well, I know it ain't his name.
It's Goliath.
Goliath.
He killed Goliath on the battlefield. You may know him as Goliath. He just got done killing him, and now he's getting ready to go back and appear before the king, Melech Shaul. All right? Now, let's pick it up. By the time that David had finished speaking, because what did we do at the end of 17? He said, I was driving to issue home. He kept asking, who is this boy? Remember that? He said,
right.
Who is this guy that went out there and defeated him, and whose son is he? When we already know that in previous chapters that he's already his armor bearer and he already is playing the guitar for him or the lyre for him whenever he has a spiritual frenzy. He gets worked up. So he knows who David is, but all of a sudden he gets amnesia. So this is after David is actually finished talking and saying, I'm the son of Jeshai, which you might know him as Jesse. Now, for the third time, let's go. By the time that David had finished speaking to Shaul, Yehohanan, found himself inwardly drawn by David's character. Yehohanan is Melech Shaul's son, right? So Yehohanan loved him as he did himself. I'm going to make a public service announcement, and I need everybody in TV land listening to me right now. Don't use this text to justify your LGBTQ community. This is not what this is talking about. All right? When he goes in here and he says, Yochanan loved him as he did himself. Okay? This is not a homosexual situation. He admired the man. He had an affection for him. He had a deep respect for the man. This is nothing sexual. So don't use this as a backdrop. Don't dare come over to the Hebrew scriptures when there's a prohibition against that very same thing and try to use the Hebrew text to justify your point. The Most High doesn't fold back on himself. It's not like your JC who's a hypocrite. Let's move on. Verse 2. That day, Shaul took David into his service and would not let him go home to his father's house anymore. Yehohanan made a covenant with David because he loved him as he did himself. Yehohanan removed the cloak he was wearing and gave it to David, his armor too, including his sword, bow, and belt. David would go out, and no matter where Shaul sent him, he was successful. Shaul put him in charge of the fighting men. All the people threw it good. Excuse me. All people thought it good. And so did Shaul's servants. So what is he now? He's given him a command of an army.
The commander.
Now, he's got another duty. I gotta play the guitar for you. I gotta save the country, save the world for you. And now I'm part of your army and part of the commander in your army. 6, as David and the others were returning from the slaughter of the Philistine, the women came out. Oh, wait a minute. Come on. The women came out of all the cities of Israel. All of them. Not just some. We know by text that how many Levitical cities are there? 42. And there's 6 cities of refuge out of all of them. So we just talking about one tribe that's got 42 some odd cities. And it says all the cities of Israel to meet King Shaul, singing and dancing joyfully with tambourines and 3-string instruments in their merrymaking. The women sang not about Shaul, but they sang about this young man right here. This ruddy young man with red hair that came back and saved the country. And they sang, Shaul has killed thousands, but David, his 10,000.
Tens of
thousands, excuse me. Let me get it right, David. Let me get all your numbers in there. Let me get all your subscribers. Shaul has killed his thousands, but David his tens of thousands. Shaul became what?
Very angry.
Very angry because this song displeased him. Now, Christian church, here is where you can have a sermon. Have you ever been hated on? You can pick up your text from here and then spend the next 45 minutes yelling and screaming about how when someone goes to work and you just sitting there and you doing well and successful and you got all these things and God has blessed you, but there's gotta be somebody over in the back that's sitting there hating on you because it says right here, Shaul has killed his thousands, but David his tens of thousands. Shaul became very angry. You can do all that all night long because it's an act. Okay? That's where you can pull that from. If I was a preacher, but I'm not. Verse 8. Shaul became very angry because this song displeased him. He said, they gave David credit for tens of thousands. Look at this. This is hate mode all day long. But they give credit for only thousands. But they give credit for only thousands. Now, all he lacks is the kingdom.
Wow.
You've got the ear of the people. He's the people's champ. Now all he needs is the throne. From that day on, Shaul viewed David with suspicion. Your Hebrews are very specific here, and they're very strategic. Look at seeing what he does next. The following day, an evil spirit from El came powerfully on Shaul. Where did that evil spirit come from? Who?
El.
Oh, so it's very possible that you could be in the midst of individuals that have a spirit that was put on them by El. So you could see something. Or we need to practice some of these mitzvot. Okay? Came powerfully over Shaul so that he fell into a frenzy in the house. David was there playing his what?
Lyre.
His lyre, which is like a guitar. As on other occasions, so he knows who this guy is. This time Shaul had his spear in his hand, and he threw the spear thinking, I will pin David to the wall. Now, in his mind, what did the Most High say to Shemuel when David was getting picked? He told him, he says, I don't see the exterior of a person, I see the interior of a person. He was sitting there in a frenzy, furious. The Most High knew his intentions. He wanted to commit murder. This is not a leader that you want to have on you that is harboring issues of murder and violating the mitzvot. Okay? Inwardly, because I see a man's heart. It says, but David dodged out of the way twice. Shaul became afraid, and that he should. Because however far he must have been away from him, Shaul must have been a real dead shot with this javelin. Said Shaul became very afraid because who? Yahweh was with him and had left Shaul. Wow. So there was something about David that Shaul saw that he had. Because what? We also saw, that's where we got that saying, that Shaul's a prophet too, that the Most High invoked himself on Shaul. And Shaul could talk as a prophet. So he knows what that countenance looks like. All right? So he saw that it left him and went to somebody else. Christian church, here's another sermon for you right now. I'm going to give you another one, free of charge. I want you to listen up. What is it saying here? It's saying that he saw that what? That the Most High wasn't with him, that he was with David. All right? Don't sit on your blessing so long that the Most High decides to give it to somebody else. And then you get mad because you didn't act at the time that the Most High wanted you to act. When Jesus wanted you to act on it, you didn't do anything about it. So don't get mad. There's another sermon right there. You're welcome. Leave some money in the tip jar on your way out.
These are tithes you ain't supposed to give.
13. Therefore, Shaul put him at a distance from him by making him commander over thousands. His goings and comings became public knowledge. Why is that important? If I'm suspicious of you, I'm going to put you in a position of prominence. So everybody knows where you are and what you're doing. You're not going to, he said at an election from himself, he says all he needs is the kingdom. I'm not going to allow a coup to happen without me knowing it. So I'm going to put you in front so I can see what's going on. All my little emissaries will be able to report to me your comings and your goings. It's a very strategic, smart move. If you have the suspicion of somebody, you just put them out in front. Make them seen by everybody. So their movements can only be finite. David had great success in all his ways. El was with him. When Shaul saw how very successful he was, he became afraid of him. But all Israel and Yehuda loved David because they knew about all his campaigns. Let's take a stop right here. Now I'm looking at you, sir, behind that camera. Why does he specifically say, astute Ibir, that's in this text? Why does he specifically say here in 16, but all of Israel and Yehuda? Why Why does he make a distinction between Israel and Yehuda? They are, but that's not until later on. You don't get that until you get the split of the kings between Jeroboam and Rehoboam. That comes later on. All right? The same writer is going to actually, before we get out of the first book of Shemuel, knows that there's going to be a split in the kingdom after the death of Shaul. Shaul is going to die. King Shaul is going to die in chapter number 31. Anybody know how he dies? Suicide. He kills himself. Okay? After he dies, Ishbosheth, his son, takes over. So it's Ishbosheth against David. The kingdom of Yehuda make David their king. Ishbosheth is the king of Israel. So this author is already doing some foreshadowing into what's going to happen in the future. We don't have a split of the kingdoms yet, but it's designating right now that at this particular time, both what? What does the text say? But all Israel and Yehuda love David. We didn't get to the point yet where it's Israel against David yet. Okay? Because they knew about all this campaign. 17. Shaul said to David, here is my, okay, now, you have to be with these series to understand a lot of the backstory with this. Once David beat Goliath, see, this is what was left out of Vacation Bible School. All we knew about was what? That David beat Goliath and then what? That's it.
That's it.
We went home and had a pizza party. We went to Chuck E. Cheese. But there was something that happens. Because he defeated Goliath, what was the reward that he was supposed to receive? As a matter of fact, I should be looking at that young man back there because I used you as an example. Zay, yeah. What was the reward for beating Goliath? Well, there we go. So the king said, I will give you my daughter in marriage. You will have riches and you will have my daughter. And remember I had said last time I was trying to be very facetious and it didn't go over, that joke didn't go over well. And I said, what if that same thing happened today? And said, hey, listen, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to let you defend the United States. And if you single-handedly beat their champion from, let's say, Russia, then I'm going to give you my daughter as your wife and I'm going to give you a bunch of riches. And this is Joe Biden saying this to you. You're like, I don't think I want your daughter, Joe.
For real.
I don't think I want your daughter.
For real.
And I don't know what riches mean because there are different parts of this country where having $5 is rich. So you need to define that for me. That was the reward.
No more taxes.
So, and thank you. No more taxes. They wouldn't have to pay any taxes. Thank you. That was the third part of it. Thank you.
Welcome.
So Shaul said to David, here's my older daughter. So he's fulfilling what he said. Merav, I will give her to you as your wife. Now wait a minute. Only continue displaying your courage for me and fight Yahweh's battles. Shaul was thinking, I don't dare touch him, so let the Philistines do away with him. Wait a minute, where have you heard that? Wait a minute, where have you heard that? So this idea of putting somebody on the front line to have him killed really didn't originate with David. That's what David did to Uriah. He saw Bathsheba bathing, naked, and all of y'all believed that Bathsheba wasn't in on it. Women, okay, did y'all just leave the building? Women. Okay, geez,
They shy.
You live in Sacramento. Some of you may have pools in your backyard or pools in your front yard. How many of y'all are going to go out at night or in the afternoon, butt naked, and bathe outside for the world to see? What would be your reason for doing that? Attention. So it's just so innocent that she's up there bathing and you just happen to come out and bathe during a certain time that the king walks out on his veranda? And then you decide that you want to have an adulterous relationship with him knowing that you got a husband. Don't sit there and tell me that she's innocent. She's in on it. And David is just weak because of her. I'm going to tell you something. If y'all think y'all Ebir women are at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to beauty, you're sadly mistaken. I am sorry that we live in a dispensation of time in pop culture where the melanated woman is put at the bottom of the rung for being beautiful. I'm going to tell you right now, your beauty tore down armies. You want to talk about Helen of Troy and all these other folk that are out here? I decide to go over here and read this text. And I decide to go back and read about Yehudi because she took down a whole entire army by just her gaze, her countenance, her strategic mapping of how she could get in there and get in this man's head. And because she was able to get into this man's head psychologically, that's the very thing she took off. So, moving forward. Shaul was thinking, I dare not touch him, so let the Philistine do away with him. David responds to Shaul was, who am I that I should become the king's son-in-law? I don't have any kind of life, and my father's family has no rank in Israel. However, when it was time for Merab, Shaul's daughter, to be given to David, she was given to Adriel, the Melachti, as his wife. But Michal, remember her, Michal, Shaul's daughter, fell in love with David. They told Shaul, and it pleased him. Now later on, you're going to see Michal grow with a lot of contempt for David. She's going to hate him later on. Shaul said, I'll give her to him so that she can entrap him, get him in an entanglement. And the Philistine can do away with him. So Shaul said to David, today you will become my son-in-law through the second daughter. Shaul ordered his servants to speak privately with David and say, look, the king is pleased with you, and all his servants like you. So become the king's son-in-law. Shaul's servants said this to David, and David replied, do you think being the king's son-in-law is something to be treated so casually? Given that I am a poor man without social standing. Shaul's servants reported back to him how David responded. Shaul said, here's what you are to say to David. The king doesn't want any dowry. He wants 100 foreskins of the Philistine so that he can have vengeance on the king's enemy. What did I say about the native Ibir? They like to torture, don't they? They like to scalp you. They want to make sure you stay alive. I want the foreskins of 100 Philistines. So Shaul was hoping to have David killed by the Philistine. When the servant said these words to David, it pleased him to become the king's son-in-law even before the time. Now David got up and set out, he and his men, and killed 200 of the Philistines. Double portion. He brought the foreskins and gave them to the king in order to be the king's son-in-law. Sounds like somebody's adding to this piece already. But when we come back next week, I'll tell you what happens next. So, let me bless you in this particular endeavor. And as I bless you, I will go and unless I don't think our teacher wants to, but I will bless the food, and then we can adjourn. Yivareka Yahweh Vayishmareka. Yair Yahweh Panaveleka, Vihuneka Yisai Yahweh Panaveleka, Vyasam Laka Shalom, which simply means, may Yahweh bless you and keep you. May Yahweh make his face to shine on you and show you his favor. May Yahweh lift up his face towards you and give you shalom. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and, on this festive day of Yom Teruah, I'm going to go ahead and bless our bounty in the back, because it is a festival we are supposed to eat. And then if the Honorable Robert B. Holman Jr. has anything to say, I will turn it over to him. But if not, we can adjourn. Most auspicious Yahweh, it is this your day of Yom Teruah that you have allowed us to come in obedience to your text, to your edict, to allow us to assemble in a holy convocation, to be festive, to remember the things that are germane to your text. You have been able to keep us, you've been able to give us understanding and the data that we need to be successful in your word. You have never failed, because our whole entire intent is truth. You've continued to bless us and continue to bless us, even though we are not worthy of that blessing. We invoke the mitzvot in your word that binds you to us honoring the things that we eat in our dietary laws, that we are to examine our food to make sure it meets all of the edicts that you have placed before us. We do that in accordance to your will and your law, being obedient to what you have placed before us. I ask that you would bless the people that are here before me, bless the food that has been prepared, that it may nourish our bodies, that it would make us strong, that it would show the nations that we are a strong people, a resilient people, a prideful people. And if all these things be in your will, make it be so. Amen.